Hello and welcome to the Property Legacy podcast and our final episode of season 2. We are joined today by the wonderful Nasser, and he's going to be sharing his journey with us. So Nasser has been a part of our journey as we've been growing PPS and Property Legacy. So it's a massive honour to have you here today with us. So thank you so much for being here. Do you just want to introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Nasser Abu Zakar. I'm a property investor. I started investing in properties in 2003. Well, it was like side hustling. I used to be an academic and I did property just to have extra income. In 2014, we started investing more in properties in Manchester. And 2017, we set up our company to make it more professional. So now I consider myself as a professional landlord.
Among other things.
Among other things.
Fingers in lots of pies.
Yes, that's right. Well, during those years when I did property, I was an academic until 2019.
Okay.
That's when I left my job. But I also like writing. So I wrote books about one about property investment. So that's basically is the book
Yep.
published in 2021. So that's basically the property
Yep.
investment. And the second book is about smart money management. It is all about money, and that was published this year, 2024.
I was lucky to be on the edit. I was able to proofread before it came out, and it's a definite need for just anybody that, whether you're in property or not, it's looking after your money, getting that side of your life set up. We never get taught that at school. We never get taught that in general. So it's a really good book. We'll put the links in the description below so you can go out to, so people can go know where to find it.
Absolutely. Both of them are on Amazon.
Yeah, even
So
better.
people can buy if they are interested.
So we actually met each other in 2022 in Manchester.
Yes.
At a networking event, but we'd also been talking online because we both had been part of Touchstone the year before. And then since then, we've been getting the different networking groups and different events for the last 2 or 3 years. How have you found how networking helps you do what the property investing, or is it just something that you enjoy doing?
Well, networking is very important for any property investor. We had our own property event. We started that in 2021.
Yeah.
And then it developed for a few years, and then
You didn't do it this year. But I was expecting a phone call to be speaking again, and I didn't get it.
Well, because of the new networking event that we arranged with other, how many of us?
15 of us.
Yeah, 15, I
last
think.
count.
So it was good. I think it is a successful networking event here in Manchester. So I was not really bothered to have another one. What for?
Yeah.
But because that one was really successful, we meet once a month. So not only once a year, but every
Yeah.
month, and you meet different people with different professions. Almost all property, professionals, architects, quantity surveyors, builders, electricians, you name it, investors as well. So I think this is a really, really good event, and hopefully we will continue with that.
It's something that I found helpful over the last few years. Most of the contacts that I've made through networking have been profitable for businesses, but also good for advice, getting, asking questions, getting somebody that's knowing people that have been through what you're trying to achieve, and getting pointers. There's always somebody on the group that has seen the problem or dealt with it before, or has got some idea of how to deal with it, or knows somebody who does. Because normally people that are in property usually are on their own when it first starts, and everybody says you need to build your power team. But we have, and that network, we have meetings with our power team of 50 to 70 people in a month, don't we?
Yes.
It's one of my favourite events that I get to go to every month because I just think it's such a nice relaxed atmosphere, but there's always different people through the door as well. You see people that are regulars, or sometimes people might come in every month or two. But every event without fail, you always meet new, interesting people that are doing all different types of things in property. And it's so interesting just to learn from one another and just to, again, ask questions. And it's so good for building those relationships. And then also catching up with them a few months later when they pop back in and like seeing how they're getting on. So it's a really lovely event. Really enjoy.
It is. I liked one of the visitors, Quasi, actually, what he did, because he's an academic. He arranged a useful workshop at Salford University where we met over there, and we had property people, including students studying, real estate, finances and investment and so on and so forth. So sometimes you see people that are really capable of, various skills, and it is really useful. I do like it.
It is good. So how did you get into property in the first place?
Well, it is really interesting, Steve. When I finished my study here in the UK, that was in 2000. Well, before I finished, actually, in 2004, when I did my PhD in computing. Even before finishing my study, I managed to get a job as a lecturer at Hull University. Living in just a salary is uneasy, so I was thinking of about having a business or something that to just add an extra income. So I was thinking what sort of business that I need to start, and I had a lot of thinking about it. But because when I was young, my father, my dad, he used to be a landlord. He owned a couple of properties in Tripoli, and I knew that he was, receiving income from those properties, but he didn't do a lot of work. So I thought that could be something to think about, and so I started buying properties. I bought my first one in 2003. And what I realized here in the UK, it is very different to back home in Tripoli, because over there, when you rent your property, you just forget about it. Because the tenants, they do take care of all the maintenance works and repairs and so on and so forth. Here it is different.
Yes.
So much different. And you need to understand what's going on. You need to learn lots of reading, lots of talking about it, and so on and so forth. And then things develop. So as you mentioned, networking, meeting other professionals and trying to learn more about it. So that was the beginning. But then things developed, and we also, as a family, we joined different training programs. So the first one was in 2014. That was like a dedicated training with one of the companies in London. Yes. So that was like we were hoping to become more professional and try to understand exactly what is property investment here in the UK.
So how many courses have you actually been on? Because when we've spoke over the last few months, you seem to have a new course on a regular basis. So is it just something you want to continue training, or continuous growth?
Well, property, it has got, it's not like computing. It's very different. It has got links to every single profession. For example, when you talk about computing, yes, you can use computing to apply it for develop apps or develop software or for different aspects of life and sectors and businesses and so on. But when it comes into property, there are also aspects related to psychology, how to deal with humans, because obviously you have people live in those properties. You need to understand their needs, their requirements, and so on and so forth. So it is very important that you understand the human side of the business, and also lots of regulations. The rules tend to change all the time. The government keeps updating those regulations. So, and for that reason, you have to be always up to date in terms of your knowledge and understanding of the business.
I think it's an area that people think they can forget about is the human factor, because your courses are mainly about the strategies of how to get a property. They tend not to be the strategies of how to keep the property and how to keep the tenants and how to keep inside the regulations. So it's very difficult to do that because there's nobody teaching it.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as well, a lot of those training courses in general, they talk from strategy point of view, but they don't talk about inserting a human point of view and actually figuring out the types of different humans that you may deal with on a day-to-day basis. And that is something that I think that people continue to learn about, especially as the world is consistently evolving, and especially with things like with new government and things like that. It's important for everybody to consistently be learning and taking things on board. It only makes us better, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, definitely. So, and this is what makes it important for property investors to become professional in the business. Just having a number of properties and trying to generate income from those properties, it's not enough. You need to educate yourself, you need to understand the business and all other aspects of it in terms of finances and accounting, dealing with the builders, project management as well. So lots of aspects. And well, we are enjoying it as family. Everybody is enjoying it, and we do support each other, which makes it, yeah, quite similar to what you do, guys,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
I was going to say, do you want to explain your family structure then and how everyone fits into property and what you do?
Absolutely. Well, in terms of the business, let me first tell you briefly about the business structure. We have four main activities within the business. So we have the accounting and finance. So that's like one particular activity. The second one is the operations, and then within the operations you can consider it as the asset management. So it is about the operations and the facilities management. So that's like the second activity. The third one is the investment side of the business. The last one is the data management and everything. So these are the four main activities within the business. And each family member is in charge of one particular activity.
Okay.
So we have one, if you remember Steve, you know him, Adrar, he's in charge of the accounting, the finances, and all the numbers and everything. There is another one for the operations, and myself is in the investment side. So that is related to trying to figure out how to get the lending and remortgaging and so on and so forth. That's basically is my side, is to make sure that we've got all the funds required for the investments and for the projects.
Very good.
Yes. So each family member is in charge of one aspect, but there are other members that is the top boss that manages everybody. That's my wife.
That doesn't shock me. So is it just Manchester that you have investing property in, or do you invest in property anywhere else?
No, just
Manchester.
Yes, all within the M60.
Amazing. And
Yes.
how are you finding that? Because Manchester is a massive up and coming area. It's been on par with London now. Everybody wants to be living in Manchester. So how have you found the upgrading of Manchester over the years? How has it affected you as a property investor?
Positively.
Yes. Which is good.
Yes, it is magnificent. It is growing. It is progressing very well. And it attracted lots of large investments. Amazon, they built a good number of warehouses surrounding the city. A number of IT companies and technology companies. They have offices there like HP, Facebook, Google, and so many tech companies. They came to the city. It has got very large universities that brings a lot of people, students, and so on. So it is a very vibrant kind of city.
Well, I
Yeah.
think obviously Salford isn't Manchester, but it's right next door to Manchester, and Salford Quays has changed so much over. That's a huge change.
It
with
is.
the Lowry, the BBC being there now, and
I,
ITV, all those kind of people.
yes, and all
Um,
are inside the M60.
so do you buy properties that are already built, or do you buy off plan, or do you buy new builds, or is it just older properties you look at?
Only properties that need refurbishment
Okay.
work. The reason behind that is we wanted to add value to those properties.
Mm.
We don't buy off plan.
Mm.
So that's basically our strategy is just to go for properties that need doing, and we allocate a budget for that. Once we receive the keys, we do all the renovations required, and 6 months, 9 months down the line, we refinance
Mhm.
and to pull our money back, raise funds, and do the same.
So do you get your hands dirty? Do you do the work yourself, or?
At the beginning, yes, of course.
Mm.
Recently, unfortunately, not. I used to enjoy it a lot, but it is now we've got teams because the portfolio has grown enough to the point that you can't really do the works yourself. But we've got now teams of builders and other professions, electricians, gas engineers, and all others, kitchen fitters, bathrooms, and so on. So we've got all the professions needed
Mm.
to do all the necessary works. So yes, and it is always there is one member, family member that manages those projects. Yes.
Cool. So are you living the promised dream of being a property investor,
Well,
where you go on holidays a lot of the time?
obviously, property gives you time. That's for sure. But it is uneasy business at the same time. You really need to work hard. You need to make sure that everything is in place.
Mm.
So it is a business, and you need to understand how to manage your projects, how to manage the finances, the investments. But the the positive thing is that because nowadays you can just basically work online, and
Mm.
you do all your contacts and meetings online, so you don't need to be always in Manchester
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
to manage your works. And that gives a lot of flexibility to the family members. So whenever they wanted to have a holiday, to travel here or there, it's absolutely fine as long as they have their laptops with them. So I'm always connected. So they can. It's not only myself, but that applies to every family member. They can actually travel whenever they wanted, wherever they wanted, as long as they are keep
Still
connected with.
accessible, yeah.
Yes.
Very good. So what big projects have you got on at the moment? Are you working on any particular things?
Well, for now, what we are trying to do, because recently we did incorporate some of our properties, so we are trying to close that file, hopefully very soon. And in terms of investment, now we are looking for properties because we feel that this is the right time
Mm.
for investment. We learned over the years that things go up and down with the property business. But now we think it is the right time to invest. So what happened is that recently we remortgaged a number of properties. So we've got capital now ready to invest. We are just trying to look at for opportunities. Also, it is because, as you know, Bank of England started now reducing the interest rate, and it is predicted that that will continue to 2025 as well. Lenders, they follow suit, and they reduce their interest rates, which means that people will start buying because their
Yeah.
monthly interest commitments will be less. So the demand will be higher, and that will increase the property prices once the interest rates start to drop even further.
Hmm.
So we thought this is the right time now
To
to
start
invest.
investing.
Yes.
Very good. So obviously Manchester is a bit more upfront with their thinking when it comes to benefits for tenants to be able to live in properties within the Manchester area. Are they keeping up with the rental costs in Manchester, or is there still a big gap that tenants have to pay from what they can get from the government as a rent and what they have to pay 2 or 3 bedroom household?
Yes, well, this is a very good question, Steve, because recently, due to the inflation that happened during the last few years, the renting prices escalated recently, and that had a knock-on effect on the affordability for the tenants. So what happened in Manchester is that the Universal Credit, they topped up their limits. So that helped many families, but also the city council also they helped many of the tenants. It was not 100%. The gap was not 100% filled in, but it was much better than what when the crisis started because of the
Yeah,
inflation.
from our point of view in Lancashire, the LHA levels have been the same for the last 5 years, 6 years. They've not changed. And then this year they increased them in April by 10%, but that's been it. Whereas the rental cost for rents in the area have doubled. So there's a huge gap that tenants are having to find themselves. Obviously, money management is something that needs to be taught at all levels, because whether you have lots of money or no money at all, you need to manage your money effectively. There was a quote the other day that most people think if they got £1 million, they'd be fine. But actually, the more money you have, the more problems you have to deal with.
Yeah.
What people think they need, which is more money, isn't actually what they need. They need to be able to manage the money they have and then learn to manage as it grows rather than just searching for that £1 million deal or that get quick rich scheme.
Yes, money moves from those who don't know how to manage it to those who do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is really important to understand, as you said, whether you are a rich person, got a lot of money and so on, or if you are with a limited resources and money and so on, everybody should understand how to manage finances. The reason behind that is to help people to plan for the future and to make informed decisions about their finances. So it is really important. There are different tools that you can use. I covered many of those tools here in the book. So I developed, I call wealth management or wealth generation engine. So it starts with the income and inflation, then savings and budgeting. That's like the second part of the engine. And the third part is the expenditure and debt management. So if people can understand those three parts, then they should be able to save money for buying assets that can generate income and then to build their wealth. So the first part is really crucial for anyone that wanted to understand money, is to understand that when they receive income, whether it is from property or from a salary, they need to be aware of inflation, because inflation it affects the income, because people always think about the income, but they don't understand that the value of the money that they receive at the end of each year, the value is reduced because of inflation. 2 years ago, the inflation here in the UK reached 12%, which is really high. It is also important that people need to understand not to stay always working for a single employer all their lives. They need to think about opportunities to increase income, so to move from one employer like to another. And that obviously that doesn't come easily, so they have to learn more, to improve their knowledge, to do a lot of training and so on, so that they can move up and get better positions and get better salaries and so on, so to improve their income. And then that should help them in terms of savings. So the more income people can receive, that will help them in terms of savings. And also they need to improve their savings. They need to understand budgeting. So that's why I link budgeting with savings, so that they need to understand how they spend their money and so on. And the last third part is the expenses. So people have to be aware of where they spend their money. So if they are paying rent, they need to make sure that they pay those rents on a monthly basis, because landlords, they have to pay
The mortgage.
the mortgage.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I think what a lot of people fall into is they may get better paid jobs, they may get more income, but then they don't do anything. They don't save that extra. They just spend it, get used to it very quickly, and actually then they're in the same position they were before. They're just spending it.
Yes.
How many times do you see where people buy the bigger, nicer car, the bigger house, and then don't realize that a bigger house costs more to run, bigger cars cost more to run, and more tax and everything else that comes along with that is
Yes.
up.
Yes. It is a full package that people need to be aware of.
Mm,
So it's not just about increasing the income. If you are not aware of how to budget and
mm,
how to save and how to deal with debt and so forth.
yeah,
So yes, of course.
it's a definite must read.
So the bigger venture for you that's been recent is all of the work that you've been doing regarding AI. So do you want to explain that kind of side of your business and how that's developed?
Yeah, sure. Well, it is because of my background as well. I mean, being in computing for many years, I thought AI can really help property professionals. So what we did, we had a few challenges within our business management. So for example, I'll highlight main experiments that we had during the last 2 years. So one of them is filling in tenancy agreements. So well, previously we had just not many documents to arrange a tenancy agreement, but recently the government, each time they add a few documents. So it takes now time to fill in the whole application and making sure that all documents are there and so on. So what we thought about is to use a particular tool in AI. It's called auto-filling. So basically, you fill in just a single form with all the information, and the system links all that information to all other documents, and then it automatically populates that information to the relevant
Yeah,
fields and places and so on. So that was useful. Also, we did an experiment with a chatbot to interact with tenants to identify or figure out potential tenants capable with all the relevant documents and so on. And recently we developed a prototype that can help property developers. This development is still ongoing because the results not 100%. So basically, the way it operates is that it uses OpenAI, this ChatGPT, and so if a developer wanted or an investor wanted to convert a commercial building like a warehouse or an office building, to convert the building into multiple flats or houses or both, mixture of both. So now with generative AI, you can input like the office plan, and then with the right prompts, the system can basically convert that building into flats or houses based on the prompt that you
yeah,
input to the system. And it can offer lots of useful information about the costs associated with the whole development, the costs about the each individual flat or house, also about the planning permissions and the area, all the marketing assessment to the area, and so on. So it provides lots of useful information. And we are planning to develop the app very soon because we started contacts with
well,
developers.
if you can get the autofill app out, Ashton and Chloe would love that. They're our daughters that deal with all the tenancy applications. and filling out all the forms and making sure they got everything is a pain.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. Absolutely. We can.
that'd be good.
Yes. For sure.
But it's all these types of things you have to have documented, because if you have to go to court at some point, then you have to have all this stuff there, even down to old certificates that are not required anymore. So there's that grey area of you need to hold on to them even if they were there for 10 years, whereas normally people would get rid of documents after 5 or 6 years. Tax don't need anything after 6 years old, so it's a definite issue for people to not only make sure it's kept but also stored somewhere and in multiple places. From the IT background, nothing is really stored unless it's stored on multiple cloud as well as physical.
Absolutely. Yes. This is very important because any missing document that will basically fail your case. That's for sure. And this is what makes training is really vital in the property business. And one of the organizations is the NRLA. They provide a lot of useful information, the documents that you need to prepare, and so on, and make it. As you said, you need to make sure that you've got multiple copies stored somewhere. And for the future, it is always better to have soft copies so that in case you need them in the future, they are well safe.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yes. Hopefully, you don't need any of them,
yeah.
but life is full of surprises.
Yeah, I think nobody intends to be a problem. It's just
Of course.
things happen over time, don't they? So where do you think you're going to go in the future with your business?
Yes. Well, the plan is now because we've been doing buy-to-lets now for many years. We will continue with that. I think that's a very good strategy. So the plan now is to get in. We are thinking of two strategies: the commercial conversions. We already started, learning, and we developed this prototype to make use of it. And that's basically one strategy that we would like to get into hopefully very soon. Once because we've got a few files that we need to close down. So once we close those files, hopefully we will start with commercial conversions, maybe by mid of 2025. So that's one strategy. The second strategy is the essays. I think that's an interesting strategy, but obviously we can't do both of them. But commercial conversions and
Oh, why not? Instead of converting your commercial into flats and selling them, keep some of them as a service accommodation.
Yes, but we had lots of discussions about it. Because what we were thinking is actually to keep those converted
Oh, right,
flats
yeah,
or
yeah.
houses for as buy-to-lets,
Mhm.
similar to the buy-to-lets because of the experience that we've got in that strategy. But yes, keeping some for as essays,
Yeah,
something to think about.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. It's something. It's a totally different area to be looking at, a different style of management as well.
Oh yes.
It's a big thing to get involved with, but be
Yeah.
interesting for the next couple of years, won't it?
Oh yes. It is just because it is more labor-intensive and time-consuming strategy. So
The good thing is there's lots of automatic things that you can put in place.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh
So
yes.
our Airbnbs run about 98% automatically.
All right.
We just have to. We've obviously got a cleaning crew, but we also all the actual onboarding of the customers, looking after them, is all done automatically. So
All right. That's something that we need to learn from you,
yeah.
Steve.
Oh, yeah. I'll come up with a course for you.
So if anyone wanted to work with you, what type of work are you looking to do with other people, and how can they get in contact with you?
Well, there are lots of opportunities in the property business in Manchester. My knowledge is just focused in this nice growing city. My knowledge outside M60 is almost nil. So if anyone wanted to interested in joint venture or working in the property investment inside the M60 of Manchester, yeah, we are happy to meet and talk, or even to give advice. We don't mind, help people if they wanted to get information about Manchester. Yeah, we met a lot of people and we tell everybody about what's going on in the city based on the experience that we've got. So that's absolutely fine. And in order to get in touch with us, our website is www.anzar.co.uk, which means rain.
Very fitting for Manchester.
To Manchester, yes, it is a North African Tamazight language. So when I was thinking about the name that suits Manchester, I thought it has to be rain, nothing else.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciated your time and sharing all of the wonderful things that you do.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So that's the end of today's episode.
To support Property Legacy, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and we've got a brand new website. You can go on there and find out more about your hosts, how to get involved with the podcast, and any future events that we may be involved in as well.
You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Please like, subscribe, and give us some reviews and feedback on what you want to see on future episodes.
Thank you so much for supporting us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.